Hi, Harry.
Good evening, Mark. How are you?
I'm really well. Great to have you on the show. Harry, you don't strike me as the retiring type.
No, I'm busy as ever, Mark. In fact, I'm busier, I think. I seem to be, I've been doing some shows, one-man shows. Last night I was in Wolverhampton. The night before I was in Guildford. I've been doing some shows. I think I did 46 before lockdown. And this year, I think I've got, 35 shows to do. So that's great fun. I'm just doing a TV programme with Jamie and Jack Whitehall. So, yeah, I'm busy as busy can be, Mark. There's never, I've been at football today, watching Bournemouth play today, took the grandkids. That was a good day, saw Bournemouth win. Came home tonight, watching Man United play Leicester. Yeah, I'm always busy.
Well, a vacancy at Tottenham is never far away, but we'll come to management shortly. Harry, can you remember the first time you kicked a football?
Yeah, probably in school, 8 years of age, and they were having some trials for the school team in a little school I went to in Poplar in East London, and we had a sports master, Mr. Eniver, who was a very keen sportsman, cricketer, football. And I went for trials for the team and got picked to play on the Saturday. Didn't have a pair of boots, not football boots at that time. And one of the other lads whose mum and dad run a little pub in Poplar in Chris Street, he had a spare pair of football boots. I wore them, and so I don't know if I ever gave them back to him actually, because we thought he had a lot of money because his mum and dad run a pub, but. So that was my first start in playing, actually playing in a competitive game.
And was there anything about your upbringing, Harry, that set you up for the success you had?
My dad was football mad, Mark. My dad just loved. My dad was not. Everybody says, "Oh, my dad or my sons," or my dad could really play. He was a prisoner of war. Came back from the war. He should have been a player. He played non-league football. Was always, but a real good player. Number 10, had fantastic ability. And he just lived for sport, my dad. Football, boxing. He'd go boxing at York Hall. If there was any, he'd watch the TV. He just was into his sport so much. Loved his cricket. Dennis Compton, Dennis World were his favourite cricketers. We were real, I followed in his footsteps, loving all kinds of every sport, really.
And did he give you playing tips?
I used to go and watch him play, and as a very little boy, and I'd stand there and watch him play, and then, I got into the East London schoolboys team, sort of 10 years of age. And, within a couple of years, I was trained at Tottenham at 11, going there during the school holidays for 6 weeks, and at Cheshunt, and being around people like the great Dave Mackay, incredible players, Danny Blanchflower, the double winning team, 60-61 double winning team. So I used to be, 6 weeks going from home. We never had a car. No one had cars, I don't think, in them days. But we'd get the train, and I used to go with another boy who was a couple of years older than me, and we'd get the bus, get the train, get another bus. We'd leave home about 7 in the morning to get to Cheshunt from the East End of London. It was a long way. But 6 weeks in the school holidays, Tuesday and Thursday night training at Tottenham. We used to have Tony Markey, who was a member of the double winning squad. He used to take the training Tuesday and Thursday night. So, yeah, it was great. I loved it. I just playing football.
Was there a moment, Harry, when you realised this could be your career?
Yeah, certainly at 11 years of age, I knew, that that's what I wanted to do. There was nothing else in my life, really. I went to a school in East London I heard the guys, the people, your panel talking about schools. Back in them days, you had a secondary modern school, you had a central. If you were dunce and not very clever, you went to the secondary modern. If you were reasonable, you went to a central. And if you were clever, you got to a grammar school. That was 11 plus we did. And unfortunately for me, I ended up at the secondary modern because I wasn't very clever. But then, and the more I played football, to be honest, and the more I got into realising that Tottenham, Arsenal, I had the choice of all the London clubs at 11 or 12 years of age, wanted to sign me when I left school. My education got even worse, unfortunately. That is my biggest regret, really.
And what were your particular skills as a player? Were you a great athlete, or did you just have a technique that was that stood out?
I was quick and I could dribble, and at 16 I played in the England youth team that won the World Cup, the Youth World Cup. We had a fantastic team back in them days. players that, not many, obviously players from a long while ago, Howard Kendall, Johnny Hollins, David Sadler, all went on, lots of top players. Every one of them went on to play at the top level. But I think I was a quick, tricky winger who was a good crosser of the ball. That was really what I enjoyed doing, trying to make goals. I used to make goals, I think, for Jeff Hurst, Martin Peters in the West Ham team. They used to finish them, and I used to like to think that I made a fair share.
Was management inevitable for you, Harry?
Not really, Mark. No, I finished playing and, I got my coaching badges very early. Ron Greenwood, the manager at West Ham, was an incredible football coach, the cleverest coach I've ever met, most knowledgeable man I'd ever met in football. And he got us all to do our coaching badges at a very early age. And we used to go and coach in schools in the afternoon. When we finished training, we'd go into the local schools. I used to go to schools in Canning Town and Forest Gate, and we used to get £2.50 an afternoon. And we used to go straight from training and get to the school, and we'd stay there for 3 or 4 hours with the kids playing football. They were all working class kids from, that area, mostly sons of dockers and, people that worked in that area. So, and that was a great education. That's when I first really got interested in coaching. And then, like everybody, Mark, you need a bit of luck. And I got lucky. People give me an opportunity, saw something in me and gave me the chance to coach. And, when the opportunities come, I like to think that I took it.
Tottenham were seriously flirting with relegation when you came in, weren't they?
No, you could have kept Tottenham up that year, Mark.
Really?
Yeah,
but they were under
you could
pressure.
have done. Yeah, I had good players. I was lucky. I had good players, Luka Modric, Gareth Bale, Ledley King. I mean, we had a great team there. I'm sure you remember that team well. That
incredible.
Was a really good team. Played great attacking football, and it was a great time for me, managing Tottenham.
Yeah, but you're very modest, Harry, because I think you changed the mentality of the club and its expectations, particularly by getting to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. And we must remember that the club was in trouble when you came in. OK, maybe relegation is a stretch, but it was certainly mid-table mediocrity, wasn't it?
Well, I don't know. I certainly, I think that we sort of instilled a bit of confidence into the team, made a couple of I tinkered with a couple of changes. I moved Gareth Bale from left back to left wing, and I moved Luka Modric from a left winger who used to just come and play in the pocket inside, not an out-and-out left winger as such. I moved him into the central midfield where he could control and run the game. And when I did that, even some of my own coaching staff thought I was crazy because they said Luka Modric, he's not strong enough or big enough to play central midfield. And I was sure he was. And, he ended up becoming World Footballer of the Year a few years back. So what a career he's had and what a fantastic player.
Achieved so much as a manager. Is there snobbery within the Premier League and among club chairmen towards British managers?
Yeah, I think there is, for sure, Mark. There's some great managers down the lower divisions who never get the chance to manage. Eddie Howe, for instance, manages Newcastle. He would never have been recognised or known or got a chance to manage at the top level if he hadn't got promoted. The only way you'll get a job in the Premier League, it seems now, if you're a young British manager, is to take a team up to get promoted. Sean Dyche did it. He takes Burnley up. So suddenly he gets the opportunity to manage in the Premier League at Burnley, and hopefully his career will keep going forward. And Eddie Howe and people like that were the same. You have to get a team up into the Premier League, it seems now. And you never get the opportunity, if you're a British manager, to manage a top four team. It seems every time they look for a manager, the only ones that get mentioned are foreign managers. You can't tell me that, Man United have taken another foreign manager. They're not exactly. I watched them play tonight. Nothing's changed there. They're not exactly. But the most important thing, Mark, for any football manager, if you want to be, is good players. You need good players. And it's about man management, getting the best out of them players. Alex Ferguson was a fantastic manager, a great man manager. He wasn't a coach. He didn't go out on the training ground every day taking incredible sessions. And I've not seen anybody who could do that. It was man management, understanding the team, putting a team together, getting the best out of people, making them want to play for you and play for the team. That is what it's about, man management.
Obviously, you're looking for skilled players when you recruit, Harry, but what else are you looking for? When you meet a young lad who dreams of joining the club, what are your criterion? What's on your checklist?
Well, I'd like to see them first and foremost show that they really want to play for your club. That's important. You know, and you're looking for kids, you can tell by their attitude, you know, their respect that they've got for you and the football club, and they want to come and play for you. And I think that's very important, you know, and you want to see kids that want to work and train. When training's over, don't go running off, finishing training, want to go off and jump in your car or whatever. Spend time on the training ground. You know, you look at Tottenham, it's no fluke that Harry Kane is such a great player. You couldn't get him off the training ground. He would be out in that training would finish and he'd be doing another hour's work, finishing, shooting, left foot, right foot, headers, doing his sprints every day. And that's what made him a great player. He improved and improved and improved. And I could name you a dozen cases. Frank Lampard was the best trainer I'd ever seen. He'd be out on the training pitch at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when it was getting dark in the middle of winter, still practicing. And, you know, and you can do that. You can make what you want to become of yourself if you want to work at it.
But what did you do, Harry? How did you pull off that successful management, as well as very, very astute football strategy? What was your trick, Harry?
I don't know. I'm looking at a picture here on the wall behind. I've got an amazing picture. It's nearly as half the size of the room with Bobby Moore and Pele swapping shirts in 1970. I remember Bobby, who I absolutely idolised. He was my mate and he was fantastic, you know. And he said to me, Harry, you know, we all need a pat on the back. He said, I played and, you know, he said, I think people thought I didn't need a well done. We all need a well done. We all need someone to come up to you and say, hey, fantastic job. Mark, when you come off there tonight, whoever's in charge of this station you're on comes up, hey, Mark, what a great show tonight. You love it. We all do. And when players do well, hey, give them a pat on the, hey, you were fantastic today. What a performance that was. You were brilliant. And people respond to that more than what they do. I don't care what anybody says, more than what they do, being told what they can't do and keep getting moaned at and groaned at all the time. People will respond to a pat on the back and encouragement. You can't keep telling them they've done well when they haven't, but when they're doing well and make them feel big, make them feel good. Before a game, tell them how good they are. Tell them that whoever they're playing against is scared stiff of them. Go and run the game. Luka Modric, keep getting the ball. You're the best player on the pitch, you know. And people respond to that.
And is it true that you have sent players out and just told them to enjoy their football and express themselves?
Absolutely, loads of times. Go and play, you know. Get the ball, get on the ball. Wherever, you know, make things happen, make us play. People try to kid you, they're tactical geniuses. I hear so many of them now, Mark. Honestly, you know, it's about good players, getting the best out of them, letting them, make them want to go and enjoy playing, enjoy having the ball, you know, working when you haven't got it, have a structure to your team. That's all important as well. But yeah, go and play, go and enjoy the game. And when you're playing well, you know, if you're Gareth Bale, keep giving Gareth the ball. Keep giving him the ball. Gareth, you'll murder this team today. Every time, keep giving it to Gareth. Gareth goes, oh, fantastic. Off he goes. His confidence is sky high. And that's, you know, that was my philosophy.
You've won leagues and cups. You've taken teams up. You've played great entertaining football as well. What's your crowning glory? What's your proudest achievement, Harry, in football?
I don't know, really, Mark. It's difficult. I've had great times, really. We'll go ups and downs, but you know, even back to my first managerial job, I took Bournemouth in 100 years of their history, they'd never been in the Championship, and we won the league when I was there, and I got them promoted. And when people said Bournemouth would never go up in 100 years playing in Division 3 or 4, that was a fantastic time. That put me on the road, really, you know. And then obviously from there, going to West Ham, having a great time there, 7 years, producing 6 of the best young players that we've had in England, all, you know, will go on to play for their country. Unfortunately, winning Champions League, not with West Ham, but if they'd have stayed at West Ham and West Ham hadn't sold them boys, West Ham could have been an incredible club.
Yeah.
But, you know, which they are an incredible club, but they could have had a great team at that time.
Yeah.
Going to Portsmouth, winning the league with Portsmouth, taking them into the Premier League was a great thing for me. I loved it. I had a great time at Pompey. The fans were amazing. and then winning the FA Cup with Portsmouth was great. So I had a great time, really, wherever I went. You know, QPR winning at Wembley, fantastic to win at Wembley and go up in the playoffs when Bobby Zamora scored. You know, keeping Birmingham up last game of the season when I went there with 3 games to go, and they were stuck at the bottom. So I've enjoyed every minute of it. Really, I've been so lucky, so lucky.
If I could rewrite football history, I would have made you England manager. It didn't happen, did it, Harry? The stars didn't align. Any regrets?
No, it would have been great, Mark. I would love to have managed England, obviously. That would, I'm a great England fan, and that was a great group of players, at that time. When I look back and I hear people say Lampard, Gerrard, they couldn't play together. How could they not play together? They were both, they could both run, they could both shoot, they could both head it, they were both big and strong, great athletes. Someone really with a little bit of common sense who sat someone like Scholes in the middle of the pair of them and let them two go. England had so much. Rooney was an incredible player. We had a great group of players at that time, and I would love to have managed them for sure.
Harry, you have been the ultimate survivor in the world of football, which is a tough and competitive game, remorseless, of course. You've also had, some moments of misfortune, a car accident in Italy in the early 90s. I don't want to dwell on that. That must have been a horrific experience and an absolute tragedy for those who lost their lives. But, can you just reflect on that and how it changed you?
Well, I was lucky, Mark. We'd been life was so good. We were out in Italy for the World Cup, 1990. And I'm with my best pal, Brian Tyler, who was the chief executive at Bournemouth. Brian was an ex-captain of Aston Villa, Rotherham. And we were coming back from, with a couple of our friends, from watching the Republic of Ireland play Italy. And I fell asleep we had a driver and 3 young kids in a car coming the other way. Been out celebrating Italy's win over the Republic of Ireland. Hit us head on, coming the other way, I think at 90 mile an hour. Overtaking on a 2-lane road, and that's the last I remember of it, Mark. I remember waking up in hospital about 3 or 4 days later. I was lucky to survive, but 1 or 2 other people, the 3 kids all got killed, and I lost my pal as well. Brian got killed, so it was a bad night,
It was an absolute tragedy. Do you feel it changed you, Harry? Did it put things in perspective of the silly trivialities that we worry about?
Yeah, I think we still worry. You always say, I'm not going to worry about such silly things again, but I think we do. But I do think I was certainly a lot. I didn't get so uptight about silly things as I did before, for sure. Although losing football matches, I still found it hard to accept it. I would get very low on a Saturday if we got beat, very, very low.
Yeah.
And I'd get very high when we won. I loved it. Great driving home in the car. I'd be on my own singing or, get home, look forward to going out with Sandra, have a glass of wine and some pasta. But I used to say to her, look, don't make arrangements to go out with anybody on Saturday. We never went out with anybody. If we get beat, I'm no use to anybody. I just couldn't even pull myself out of it. I wasn't a good loser, I'm afraid,
Well, you've mentioned lovely Sandra. You're, of course, fantastic at putting together a team. And you and Sandra, the ultimate team.
Yeah, well, I've been lucky. Yeah, she's looked after me, and we've had a great marriage. Really, I've been very lucky, and she's my life, really, to be honest with you. So, it's been a great time for us to be together.
Well, she's obviously an incredibly beautiful woman and a strong personality too, and I guess that's why it works. Are you guys different from each other?
Sandra's very quiet, very shy, really, and she's not at all she's really never been. It was only, I think, when I did I'm a Celebrity, she got thrown into the public. She's so shy. We go into restaurants, she goes, oh, you go first, Harry, I don't like. She really is very, very shy. But, all that TV stuff, and I say, come on, Sandra, someone would ask her to do an advert. I say, I'll give you half the money, She's still waiting for it, but she's not one for really. She's quite happy with her family, the grandkids, and, really she'd rather take a back seat, if I'm honest about it.
Well, look, we know the clock's against us, Harry. We've got to let you get on with your Saturday evening. I've just got my brilliant panellists here. Ali Miraj, journalist and broadcaster, Emily Carver, political commentator, and Peter Edwards, former editor of Labour List. And Peter, you're a pretty big football fan. I
am, absolutely. And it's great to hear from Harry, and I appreciate how difficult it must have been to kind of relive the events of 1990. But Harry went on to achieve so much, and I actually feel... I didn't support any of the teams Harry managed, but I certainly remember his time at Tottenham and Gareth Bale, and what an exciting era that was. Gareth Bale bombing down the wing, and it really, perhaps in my lifetime, Tottenham had been a bit under our radar, but it put them back on the stage at a European level. And I think we got fantastic memories of Harry at Tottenham, and it was perhaps unfortunate that he
Who's your team,
able to stay there longer. I think he did a great job there.
Who's your team, Peter?
My team is Liverpool.
Oh, well, brilliant. I love Liverpool as well. I love Liverpool Football Club. I love Liverpool Football Club. The most moving, it used to make the hair stand up on the back of my neck when I went to Liverpool, and they would sing like when the cop was in full voice singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." I think there's nothing in the world like it, And so I'm a big Liverpool. I love to see Liverpool where they are, right at the top.
Ali Miraj, we could do with that quality of leadership that Harry Redknapp demonstrated in the dressing room in Westminster, couldn't we?
Well, we could, and Harry, what an absolute pleasure it is to hear you this evening. I mean, really, honestly, I've been an admirer of yours for many, many years, and I actually, I used to be a Watford season ticket holder until they put the director's box where my seat was. Yeah, if you were managing us, Harry, right now, I'd be a lot happier, to be honest. We're still in the relegation zone.
Oh, you had Graham Taylor. Graham was a great manager.
He was absolutely
John.
Exactly,
John
and
Barnes,
when you were
Blissett, and Watford's had a great, a real good tradition of producing some good players over the years as well, haven't they? So,
absolutely,
and Graham Taylor was a good man.
He was. Well, I remember actually when you were managing Tottenham, I remember actually going to White Hart Lane on a number of occasions and seeing Luka Modric and Bale play brilliantly. And you're right, they were exceptional. Look, I think you're right, Mark. Harry talks about man management, right? Managing people, getting the best out of them. And as someone who has worked in the financial sector for a long time and also involved in politics as well over many, many years. Absolutely. It's that ability to build a cohesive team and to get the best out of your people. And I feel that sometimes you can have great individuals, but if they don't play as a team and they're not all pulling in the same direction, that's where you have issues. And Harry was always brilliant at that. And I really do feel, Harry, that it is a shame you didn't manage England. I know it's a regret for you. It's a regret for me as well as a fan. So, great, really honest. It's such an honour to hear you tonight. Really.
Harry, I'd never drag you into politics, but what's your appraisal of all of our political leaders? Do you rate them? Are we well led in this country?
Boris is a character, isn't he? He is a one-off. There's no doubt about that. I mean, But listen, we've all got different opinions. You look around the world at the moment. You look at America, and you look everywhere. I think there's a lot of worse leaders about than what we've got. That's for sure. We know where one is without even talking about him. So, no, I'm not big into politics. To be honest with you, but. I certainly think that Boris has got a tough job on his hands for sure, and he's making the best of what he can at the moment. It's been a difficult few years for him.
I think that's a really fair.
He's not always making the best. He's making a few cock ups as well. Let's be honest, but I mean, we'll see what happens. It'll all come out in the wash with him, won't it? I suppose.
Well, that's right. And I think that your empathetic response is very characteristic of your attitude generally, which is that it's a hard job and you know what it's like being in the firing line, Harry, and when you're under pressure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we're all human beings.
Listen, when you're at the top, it's like being a football coach. When you get beat, you go home and, everybody loves you. And it's when you're making the big decisions and you're picking that football team on a Saturday and you're leaving 3 or 4 players out or you're making changes or whatever. Suddenly he don't like you, his wife don't like you, the kids don't like you. But when you're not the number one, we can all second guess. So it's a tough job when you've got to be up there making the big decisions, for sure.
And finally, Emily, the bottom line with Harry Redknapp is the man is the national treasure, because you don't even have to be a football fan to know exactly who Harry is, because he's the king of the jungle.
How do you know I'm not a football fan?
That was a guess. Are you a football fan?
Do we have time for one last question? Just something that I'm very intrigued by.
Always.
Harry, what do you tell to young players who are suddenly these famous icons, can get any woman they like, can spend all this money on flash cars and holidays, etc.? How do you keep them on the straight and narrow?
Mm-hmm. It's getting tougher. I mean, it's getting tougher. You know, they've all got. It's not easy now. The money's gone crazy. There's no doubt about that. They're getting. There's too much money being floated around for players who really haven't achieved very much. They need good advice. They need to be. I mean, there was a statistic recently. I didn't see it, but someone was telling me the other day that 50% of Premier League footballers go bankrupt within 5 years of finishing playing. Well, wow. I didn't realise that. I mean, how can they with the money they're earning? It's quite. So they need good advice, and I think it's great now when you see one or two of them, like Harry Kane's brother looks after him, and his Declan Rice has got his family looking after him. You know, you need good people around you to give you good advice, because I think most footballers, you know, like I said, when you're 11 and 12 and you know you're going to be a player, you suddenly, that's all you concentrate on. And we're not very worldly when it comes to looking after, investing money, and we suddenly, you know, they need good guidance, really, and that's what they need, especially if you can get if you've got a good family around you. That's got to be a big help. But that's the advice you would give any player, you know, any young kid. Look after your money, because, you know, when your career's over, you've got a long life to live after. Invest it wisely, you know, don't go wasting it on cars and whatever else you want to buy, flashing it around on. I've had players drinking £20,000 bottles of champagne, you know, and I've said to them, you're like me. I said, you're from a council estate. You wouldn't even know a £10 bottle of champagne from a 20,000. Why do you, but that's what they do. They suddenly want to show off. And I mean, how'd you pay £20,000 for a bottle of champagne? I mean, I don't know. It's beyond me.
Harry, it's been the greatest privilege to have you on the show. You've got millions of fans out there. What a career. And I'm delighted to hear that you are as busy as ever. I know you're a very in-demand speaker and entertainer, TV star. You're on the radio, you're on the box. You've even got your book, which is out, your fantastic best-selling autobiography, Always Managing. My biography, Harry Redknapp. Harry, thank you so much for joining us on Mark
Great talking to you guys. Thank you.